Welcome to Discussing Stargate. My name's Steve Buscemi, and I'm with
Tim Roth.
Tim Roth. We're not doing the episodes in order now because fuck it.
Roll the intro, Billy.
Billy, roll fucking intro.
Billy, the intro, we're live. Alright, so we're doing New Ground, which is the 19th episode of the third season of Stargate SG-1.
Yeah, well, we decided to do this because in the last Farscape review,
Yes.
right, I mentioned that this episode was directly comparable to it.
Yeah, in terms of like pacing and narrative tension, you reference this is where IET should be. And if you haven't watched Steve and I's review of the second episode of Farscape, it's up here. It might help for a little bit of context.
Ding!
Go and watch it.
I wouldn't watch it.
Neither would I.
So it's an ET. That's sort of like the basic narrative structure, I guess, or at least just sort of the very core concept. If you want to reference it to something that's been done before, where they go somewhere and there's some the force or whatever, the people who are in control of where they've gone to, agitators or whatever, and they don't like you and they capture you and you have to get away and stuff. And this is a great execution of that, as opposed to, again, like the second Farscape episode, which was a terrible.
Yeah. Absolutely. This just pacing wise, I think within like the first minute, the cold open for the intro, old mate Sideburns mentions that if SG-1 comes through, they're probably going to get killed straight off the bat. Like it's all set up, what the stakes are. They come through the Stargate, and he mentions like this ideological war between these two factions of this
Two
culture.
continents.
Rivaling over differing ideologies, and the Civil War's been lasting hundreds of years. Straight up, I mean, it was like, hook that napper generator up, Carter. Let's get ready to get the fuck out of here.
We believe that we were created on this continent, and the Optricans believe that their holy gateway is on this continent. Therefore, we've been at war for decades.
Okay, Carter, you want to make sure the reactor's all hooked up, just in case?
And then, it's probably in the first
minute of
SG-1 rocking up, like still in the first 10 minutes of the episode, the force rocks up and it picks up straight away. The pacing is there and it doesn't let down. You're on the edge of your seat the whole ride. This is how pacing and tension work. Pay attention.
Screw it, let's go.
It starts off, and it's really elegant, or at least it's nice and streamlined the way that they set up all the premise. They've got we start on our alien planet. They're like archaeologists or whatever. They're looking for something. They're uncovering the Stargate. They give us some backstory about what's going on. They mention the two continents, the Optricans and the Bedrosians, and that. And so you've got Nyan, right, who's a bit more open-minded, and then you've got his colleague, right, who is totally not open-minded. And the Stargate opens. They send them out through. They're all like, whoa. And his colleague, Nyan's colleague, goes off and obviously calls the military. And then they come through and they keep filling out the backstory and the premise for the whole thing, which takes about, in total, the exposition for setting up the entire premise takes about 2 or 3 minutes.
Clean and concise.
Clean and concise. You've got two continents, right? The opposing continent to this one that they're on, which is the Bedrosians, believe that they were brought there through the Stargate or their gateway, and the Bedrosians believe that they were created on that continent.
So it's a nice little political commentary on like the stubborn closed-mindedness of people in an ideological war. But I like how it didn't get too like specific politically. It wasn't a direct like allegory for like German nationalists and Jews or Israelites. It was just vague. It was like a commentary.
More about human nature more than like some allegory too.
It didn't get preachy, which is good. I hate it when it's like, this is my political view and you have to sit here and listen to it.
What if they're telling the truth? What if it is a gateway and the Optricans are right?
No, it's a lie.
But how can you be sure?
I am sure because we have not spent our lives praying to a God who does not exist. And many of our people have not lost their lives fighting a meaningless war. I won't accept that. I've studied the Book of Nefertum word for word, cover to cover. It is the truth.
The military starts rocking up within the first minute, and they capture SG-1. I must say the effects are always great.
Yeah, and it was interesting technology they used, like force shields that beam down from the ship,
and like incapacitate people when you touch them. It's great. Like it's just cool. Like that's cool technology.
They put effort into like making the race unique.
Yeah. It wasn't just some human analog with shotguns and red
and just normal human dogs.
And so we get introduced to our main antagonist, which is like their military leader or whatever.
The closed-minded military brute who's...
And you know, like it is over the top, right? He's obviously, you know, this totally like impenetrable to reason sort of thing, but it's you know, it is believable as well, and especially the like the ideology.
Yeah.
You can imagine, you know, I got the sense through the exposition or when they were talking and how he was talking about the war that they were in.
Yeah.
You know, that it's a pretty vicious war and that, you know, like tricks and illusions and psychological warfare, like he talks about, are not below like the other continent to do. And vice versa.
I actually think like it was quite subtle in the execution because he has this front where he's like, no, this is our beliefs, I won't be changed, I won't be moved. But you can see in his acting, like when Daniel was saying how the Stargate works and functions, the cogs are moving and he's like, oh fuck, we're fucking wrong.
An alien race, the Gould, used the Stargate to transport humans from Earth to other planets, which is how your people came to be on Bedrosia.
I think anyway, he starts to believe that, and then he's like, no.
Yeah, well, so that's the essence of the ideology, like gatewaying, sort of, you know, And again, you can understand, right? If you believe something for like, you know, your entire life, and you've done a war and you've done all this crazy
seeing
shit.
your friends die for it.
Yeah, and what you see is like, and again, as you said, his acting subtly changes as more pieces of evidence start like coming forward. It's like when the Stargate opens, they're like,
oh fuck,
no, this is a trick. This is gonna be a trick. It's like his second in command or whatever sort of looks at him and it's like,
oh shit, it's all real.
It's all real. It was all a lie.
It is a gateway.
This is not the gateway. It's a trick.
So Tilk gets separated. He gets injured at the beginning,
which is it's got the B plot.
Which is always really good to split it up. It just creates so many more narrative options if you split the team. And the whole sub-story of Tilk being horribly injured and trying to recover, then coming at the end and saving SG-1 is just great.
Well, the whole scene with the whole scene. Well, so first and foremost, it's a great way to dilute to re-emphasize the tension every time you switch back to the A plot. Right. So you switch to Tilk and what's happening with him, and it sort of slows down, and you get he's struggling with some stuff because he goes blind or whatever, and his symbiote's not healing, and Nyan has to help him, and he's struggling with all that, and then it cuts back. And like SG-1's being tortured in like they're in like cages, electronic electroshock cages or whatever.
Oh mate, the military leader shoots Jack with is that Nicotel? He falls against a cage and he's getting electrocuted.
It's like, you kill him!
Yeah,
Stop.
Jackson's like, turn it off, you kill him! And you're like, whoa, this is great.
I love this.
You're not on. No, there is not another one of my team out there. Turn it off.
What's he look like?
Turn it off. You'll kill him.
Also, they're being interrogated, and it like keeps switching between like the various answers. and you get you get Jack, who is just full of sarcasm and snark, and you get Carter, who tries to do the technical explanation, and then Daniel.
Yeah, it was a nice little like editing technique too. Instead of like cutting back to the military commander asking them each question individually, it did like the little hard cuts. It was like the same framing, so it was like comical in a way, and it worked beautifully.
Yeah.
Wormhole. Giant worms. Huge.
Wormhole is just an expression. It has nothing to do with worms. It's a tunnel through space.
And how was this illusion of water created that I have heard described?
Well, you're right in that it is an illusion. It's not actually water.
Then what is it?
Magic.
It's an event horizon made up of quantum particles that form a wormhole.
It never broke. The tension and the pacing never sort of waned. Even when, again, it was a good use of switching between the two plots in order to maintain the energy and momentum within the actual A plot.
There was a great little detail in Tilk's plot line just to keep the audience on the edge of their seat. His vision gets repaired to a degree by this device, and he basically gets to the point where he's like, okay, let's go rescue SG-1 now. And he gets up and he walks into one of the rocks.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, he's gonna rescue SG-1, but he's not in great shape. So it's just all the little things that keep the audience on the edge of their seat.
We must depart.
Nyan pisses off to go get like the eye repair, and Tilk goes, no, don't leave or whatever, and he gets up, and bangs into a wall like in a cave, and then it switches to the front of him, and like with these alien bats or CGI alien bats, start going, and he like is on the ground, and it's like freaking out. It's like, wow, that's so awesome. Our big warrior, right, is experiencing turmoil and stuff. Yeah.
Another great thing about this episode is it had a third act. I criticised RET, Farscape episode, and a lot of modern Doctor Who for setting up the premise, having the conflict, and then it being resolved real quick, like in 2 minutes, and then the credits rolling. But this episode, it had a third act, it had some exciting action, I was involved, and it resolved itself with enough time.
Well, it kept escalating.
Yeah, and we got something exciting. We got some like well executed action sequences, which is always nice.
Yeah, well, Stargate's always kind of like that as well.
Yeah,
right? It's that they'll get into some sort of like trouble off world, and then there'll be the escape act.
Yeah,
which happens all the time.
I do like that. Like I like the dry like dialogue of Next Gen, where it's all about diplomacy and standards and what we think and
great.
But then it cuts to SG-1 and it's like, whoa, action! I like action.
And it's the third season. I actually remarked that sometimes I forget how well it ended up becoming so early within the series. Yeah,
it really got the formula down pretty quick.
The CGI and stuff, it's not the best in the world, but
20 years old.
It's like 20 years old.
It's a television series that was doing 22 episodes per season,
and it totally holds up.
Yeah, it doesn't break emotion whatsoever. Another little interesting thing which I noticed was SG-1 ends up escaping. They leave all their equipment there, all their guns, I believe Tilk takes his staff weapon, but like their radios, the NACWA generator. So this culture could like reverse engineer.
They just got a huge boost in technology.
They have a table of all this completely different alien technology that they can delve into now, which is funny.
Yeah, well, so knackered the generator, and then they like bomb themselves into the thing.
Probably. We never hear from them again.
Do Does Nyan ever come into it? I think the actor actually gets recycled at some point in time.
Yeah, the actor possibly, but the character never comes up again. He becomes Daniel's lab assistant at the end.
Yeah.
Daniel gives him a whole stack of things. He's like, you're an open-minded science guy, you can be my lab assistant. Never mentioned again.
You know, but yeah, he got fucking... He got sent away to some dark basement somewhere to be dissected by
They had like different standards of sexual conduct, and like he grabbed a female in the ass like day one and was fired from the SG-1. Never seen again.
No, that's not right, but this is how we do it.
In our culture, we grab the ass. You're fired. You're gonna have to leave.
In disgust. Oh, that's funny.
Well, I think we've got a little job for you, Nyan, if you're interested. I have a backlog of ancient artifacts gathered from previous missions, and I could really use a research assistant. It'd also be a great way to learn about the history of your ancestors.
Well, and again, the sort of main back premise is they've got the two warring continents. Generally, it's like ideology based. I think that happens like 4 or 5 times. We see the same sort of thing.
It is a reoccurring thing within SG-1 to have two like warring factions of a culture.
Which, you know, is like, that's realistic. You know, if they're all on different continents, they're all gonna, and the humans are all gonna start like pointing missiles and shit at each other.
It resonates through human nature, apparently. Look at our world. So yeah, in conclusion, solid pacing, kept the energy up the whole time, interest and excitement, great tension. It was high stakes from the first 10 minutes to the last 10 minutes. Well executed action and a interesting third act.
Interesting, like sci-fi sort of stuff, like technology and effects.
Yeah,
and
a little political commentary on human ideology and being closed-minded and jaded.
No contrivances. The antagonist is not, you know, contrived or anything. It's, you know, it's what I want. It's what I expect. Something that's believable, you know, as much as you can without, you know, if you suspend your disbelief a bit.
Yeah, so if you did watch our IET review and you disagreed with it, and you haven't seen SG-1, I would suggest going and watching this episode and taking note of what we said. And this is kind of like the base standard for what I expect from a movie or a television show.
Well, just to cap it off in terms of the criticism from the Farscape review.
Yeah.
And especially, you know, I hadn't watched this Stargate episode for a long time, even though I've watched it a couple of times over the period. Again, just watching again is like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I meant.
Yeah.
Right. This solidifies it exactly. If you even if you don't watch any of the reviews, watch the 2 episodes, the second episode of Farscape.
Yeah, that would be an interesting back-to-back viewing
and then watch this episode and see that there's obviously the ET sort of thingy. And look at the huge difference in quality, which, you know, maybe again, just to again cap it off, even if you could say, well, Stargate maybe had a higher budget or something like that, or they were obviously they were further into it. It's still on. If you stripped away all the high budget stuff, the story itself was told well.
If you take both of the scripts on the page, the writer of this episode was just far more experienced in how a narrative structure comes together.
Yeah.
So thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Subscribe, and in the comment section, tell us how we got all the facts wrong. And you hate it.
Fucking asshole, fucking